We're live on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra and Kumasi on Love 99.5 FM. Affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions. We are on A1 Radio in Bogatanga, Ganga FM in Jirapa, Radio Wa in Wa. We are on Kekeli Radio in Ho. We are live on X Spaces. We are on Facebook Live. We are on myjoyonline.com. The Midday News is proudly sponsored by Petrol Sol. Your clean fuel, always in full quantity. Petrol Sol is always a delightful experience, and also brought to you by Duroplus Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC and HDP pipes and water tank. We are the only water storage tank with a level indicator, and where Duroplus goes, water always flows. This afternoon.
That's why that 3 billion. That's why I told you from the beginning. I said I don't know about this 3 billion.
We cannot say your intervention saved 3 billion.
No, I said 3 billion. I've told you that I'm not aware.
Increasing calls for Office of the Special Prosecutor to investigate a 10-year questionable contract by Finance Minister worth over $100 million annually for a job already being done expertly by the National Petroleum Authority.
We need to get to the bottom of this kind of arbitrariness that happens in ministry.
So in a nutshell, we have to go. You want the OSP to get into this, right?
No, of course, OSP will be,
You want to stay for details of that also coming up.
It was based on this firm assurance that the IMF secured from the Official Creditor Committee that they went ahead to schedule this new date. Based on what we have picked up, it is clear that Ghana would not get the IMF cash disbursement before the end of this year.
And as the IMF reschedules a crucial meeting for decision on the disbursement of $600 million second tranche of Ghana's bailout funds, we find out why the country is struggling to meet the criteria set for the country to access the funds. In our district level elections, monitoring also urgent EC caution to employers not to prevent workers, especially in urban areas, from voting in the crucial district elections with less than 24 hours away.
I don't think that anybody will stop a voter from going to vote.
But if we have to go to work,
tell your employer that you are going to vote, no employer will stop you. Yes. So that will be disenfranchising you. Nobody will do that.
Details plus hear from a local governance expert on why your vote is crucial.
Those are the building blocks for our development. These are the people who are going to determine our development in the next 4 years.
And communities earmarked for the start of lithium mining in the central region demand 3% earnings from the resource into its community development funds.
If they can increase the 5% to 10%, then they can equally increase our 1% too, because the populations of the communities are growing in size.
We have sports.
We've got the details of the Champions League knockouts round pairings as Arsenal and Barcelona get tricky opponents.
And much later.
And the government will be upon his shoulder.
I'll let you in on the thrilling performances from Joe Metal, Celestine Donko and others, all about our Joy FM Festival of 9 Lessons and Carols last night.
Joy has been my joy, and always, whenever there's a program, the joy goes to the peak.
That's and more in this afternoon's edition of the Midday News. I am Emefa Apawu. This is your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Please do stay on for details. Many thanks for your company. We're digging now in this afternoon. There are calls for the Office of the Special Prosecutor to investigate a 10-year questionable contract by Finance Minister worth over $100 million annually for a job already being done expertly by the National Petroleum Authority, the NPA. The contract was awarded to Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited, SML, to monitor underreporting, diversion and dilution of fuel products and general non-compliance in the petroleum industry, something the NPA was already doing. Here are excerpts of the investigative piece read to you by lead investigator Manasseh Azuri Awene.
The company started operations in 2020. From the revenue figures we obtained from the GRA, the difference in the total revenue from the downstream petroleum sector between 2019 and 2020 is 800 million cedis. If all the increment was attributed to the work of the company, it will still fall short of the 1 billion cedis it claimed to have saved. In February 2023, SML Ghana Limited again claimed that it had saved 3 billion cedis due to its operations. The company has admitted the services it listed on its website as curtailing irregularities in the sector did not exist and deleted them from the website. Even if SML was carrying out those services and all the incremental revenue within the period of its operations was credited to the company's efforts, the amount would be 2.4 billion cedis and not 3 billion cedis as it claimed to have saved. When we put these figures to the managing director, he made a shocking admission.
That's why that 3 billion, I'm not. That's why I told you from the beginning. I said I don't know about this 3 billion.
We cannot say your intervention saved 3 billion.
No, I said 3 billion. I'm not. I've told you that I'm not aware, because when we were told about the publication, we even called the.
As we speak this morning, it's still on your website.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Eva, to be honest, I don't even know website matter.
Despite evidence that SML Ghana lied about the services it renders to the state and the amount of money it claimed to have saved, the finance minister, Ken Oforiatta, this year decided that the company's contract should be expanded to cover the gold mining sector and the upstream petroleum production sector in Ghana.
Potentially, and I use potentially advisedly, we consider it duplicitous. However, we have agreed that we want to meet with them and understand the real rationale for which they also want to do an automatic tank gauging system. It doesn't matter if their automatic tank gauging system is supposed to gauge the tanks at the depots, whilst our system gauges the tanks at the filling stations.
Well, so the full investigative piece will air on the Joy News channel this evening, also on all our social media platforms. But already there are reactions to this, and the executive director of energy think tank Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACE, Ben Boache, wants urgent investigations into this expose.
Yeah, but I think, somehow official complicity has to be investigated. I don't know who will be interested. Special prosecutor is an option. The president himself might want to set up a committee that is the representative enough for civil society, academic, involved, to look at how these decisions are made and perhaps extend it broadly to some of the energy sector problems that we have, which we need to get to the bottom of it. Kind of arbitrariness that happens in ministry.
So in a nutshell, we have to go. You want the OSP to get into this, right?
Yeah, of course, OSP will be, an avenue. But I'm saying that it is at the discretion of the president also to want to show interest in investigating some of these matters.
You want to stay with us throughout this whole investigative piece. We're bringing you reactions, plus all that you need to know when it comes to this particular expose put together by the Fourth Estate and read to you by Manasseh Azuria-Winnie. Let me take you to Parliament now, where this afternoon President Akufo-Addo is offering a detailed explanation to Parliament on why he refused to sign some bills passed by Parliament to the House. Now, 2 amendments to the Criminal and Other Offences Act to abolish the death penalty and prescribe accusation of witchcraft, sponsored by Medina MP Francis Xavier Susu and passed by the House in July, have all hit a snag, with the President explaining they offend the Constitution. Listen to the Speaker reading the communication from the President a while ago.
In terms of the provision for prison facilities, feeding and health care for the persons convicted to serve life sentences when the bills are assented to by the President. D. The introduction and subsequent passage of the bills as private members' bills do not comply with the requirements of subparagraphs Roman 2 and Roman 3, paragraph A of Article 108 of the Constitution. Following receipt of the Attorney General's advice, I requested a meeting with you, which we held eventually at my office on 28th November 2023. I followed up with a letter dated 28th November 2023, signifying my refusal to assent to the bills due to the constitutional issues related to Article 108 of the Constitution, that 2016, Act 921, Clause 2 of Article 93 of the Constitution vests legislative power in Parliament as follows. Subject to the provisions of this Constitution, the legislative power of Ghana shall be vested in Parliament and shall be exercised in accordance with the Constitution. At the outset, it is important to acknowledge that while the Constitution vests legislative power in Parliament.
Well, let's bring in Parliamentary Affairs Correspondent Kwekwa Sante. Well, just after reading that communication to Parliament, the Speaker had a reaction.
Well, the Speaker of Parliament is clear in his mind that this position that has been taken by the President is unconstitutional. He says that the President is gravely wrong and that within the course of the week, he is going to come out with a statement of his own, professing his own understanding of the law.
Tragically wrong. And I will submit in the form of a statement under Article 53 my position in this matter and allow members of the House to make comments so that we can take a clear position in this matter. It's not been properly advised, and the President has not been properly informed of the processes these bills have gone through. So I will submit a detailed write-up on it. This message and the contents are irregular, wrongful, and unconstitutional.
Well, Kweku, going by the explanation that the President gave to Parliament, it means that there are significant consequences for the anti-gay bill already, and there are concerns that have been raised on the floor. Tell us more.
Yes, you would see some joy on the floor at the time this letter was being read, clearly signaling and knowing that the President will not sign that bill into law if he comes to his desk somewhat in the future if Parliament passes that. The President has explained that if he commutes a death sentence to a life imprisonment, it is the state that will take care of this person in prison, and that imposes a charge on the consolidated fund. That is one of the reasons why he is not signing the death penalty abolishment law sponsored by private member Francis Zigas, UMP for Medina. But that is the same thing the anti-gay bill is doing. It is imposing up to 3 years sentence on persons who engage in LGBTQ activity. The President says if he imposed a custodial sentence on such person and the state would have to take care of this person in prison, that bill cannot come from a private member. It must come from the executive or on behalf of the President. The President is cautioning Parliament to consider this in any bill that they are currently consider, and that if they come to his desk with any private member's bill that imposes a charge on the consolidated fund, that sentences people to custodial sentences, he's not going to sign them into law.
Well, still in Parliament, though, President Akufo-Addo has been urging Parliament not to overspend. He's been approving 92% of their budget.
Yes, the Parliament of Ghana requested a little over 1 billion, close to 1.5 billion, but President Akufo-Addo has approved just 1 billion and 22,000 Ghana cedis for Parliament to spend in 2024. The judiciary also has 883 million to spend in 2024. The Speaker of Parliament had some comments about this judiciary budget, saying that it was not enough. It just represents about 80% of the request that was submitted by the judiciary. But just going on the floor, a lot of MPs are agitated by the letter that was brought to the Speaker of Parliament about not signing the bills into law. In fact, it led to some clash between the majority leader and the Speaker, who ordered the majority leader to take his seat, and it was clear confusion in the House. In fact, the minority are trying to use some orders in the standing orders of the House to bring statements to the floor to debate this, and the Speaker of Parliament is still haggling to try and bring some conclusion to this.
And the drama never ends in Parliament. You want to tune into our social media platforms for all the action on what's going on in Parliament currently, as our Parliamentary Affairs Correspondent Kwekwa Sante reports. But let me focus on the economy now, and Ghana's quest to secure the $600 million from the IMF as part of its $3 billion bailout has suffered yet another setback. The board meeting, which is to consider the second review under the fund program and the disbursement of the funds, has been rescheduled from December 26th to January 11, 2024. Now, it is the fourth rescheduling of the second review. Joy Business Editor George Riafe has the details.
This is the new date that the IMF has agreed to have a board meeting on Ghana. It is expected to consider the IMF report on the country's second program review and possible disbursement of some $600 million to the country. It is coming after the IMF was forced to reschedule this meeting on 3 occasions, that is from the middle of November this year to December 2023. The last date for this year was December 21, 2023. This was due to challenges in reaching a deal with China on the proposed restructuring of its debts. However, Joy Business understands that there has been some significant progress made just last week, indicating that this time round they could reach a deal before this board meeting date. Joy Business is learning that what the IMF is looking for is not a finalized agreement on restructuring of Ghana's debt, but what some may call a letter of comfort that they are okay with the terms proposed and they are now open to negotiating with Ghana. It was based on this firm assurance that the IMF secured from the Official Creditor Committee that it went ahead to schedule this new date. Based on what we have picked up, it is clear that Ghana would not get the IMF cash disbursement before the end of this year, but rather in 2024.
Well, that's Joy Business editor George Riafe with that report. This is the fourth rescheduling, and a member of our research desk, Kofi Minta, has been following this particular issue closely. Joins me in studio. Were we on the schedule in the first place?
Well, Emefa, we've been monitoring the executive board schedule for the month of December, and Ghana was not part of this schedule. So we're hoping the first schedule that we saw for the month of December was from 1st to 15th December. But if you look at this information that we are having, then it certainly means that from 16 to the end of December, we will not be able to make it onto the schedule. But what we do know is that there's a problem, and the problem is that we were making headway when former finance minister of China was in place. That's Liu Kun. We had a lot of agreements with him. Things were really going on smoothly. And then they've changed their finance minister about 2 months ago, and everything seemed to be starting fresh again. So China currently is the missing piece at the negotiation table, and they are, sort of making things a bit difficult for us to get that buy-in of all the other bilateral creditors. And the IMF, they have a very simple message: restructure, get the financing assurances, or no second tranche.
Kofi J, with our research desk there, giving us all the details. And you've been hearing from Joy Business editor, it looks like we have to now look all the way to January 11, 2024. But let me bring you back home from China. And chiefs of Ewoya and other communities where the country expects to begin lithium mining in the central region are demanding the payment of 3% of the earnings into a community development fund to improve their communities as well. They also want the government to scrap the idea of directing the proceeds into the consolidated fund before transferring to them. They've been speaking exclusively with head of our energy desk here at Joy News, Samuel Kojo Brace.
Because 5% were in the tenor.
So if they are drafting an agreement, they should do it well, because for the 1%, I haven't heard them increase it. Why haven't they increased it when that is coming to us? They should increase it. If they can increase the 5% to 10%, then they can equally increase our 1% too, because the populations of the communities are growing in size. When I came here to school, this was a very small village, but today look at how grown it is. Every community grows. So if the share of the communities is 1%, then government should have thought about us well when it was planning. At least if they take it to 4 or 3%, that will be fine.
4% and
So this is Chief of Krofu, Nana Kwanzaa II. Now the Chief of Ewoya himself, Nana Mbrono Edu, is against the payment of the community development levy into the consolidated fund.
Abai to no ye ma 10% no ejina wa meme the full say na mum ye 1% no na me kire say on the yesra ban on fa bi nkan.
I think if government can agree with them on the current conditions for them to start the mining operations, it will be good. But for our 1%, we plead with government to increase it. Again, the consolidated fund, they want to put that 1% in. We Nananum disagree. We want that to be put into our own fund to be managed by us and the company for easy access to the revenues.
Samuel Kojo Brace has returned from away. He joins me in studio. Did you bring any lithium with you? No. Okay, so what did you find in these communities, Samuel?
Well, I find on one hand enthusiasm for this operation to start because they believe that it will create jobs. I mean, some people have already been employed, but other people also, especially the people of Krofol, demand better engagement with the community. Especially the landowners say they have not spoken about how much you're taking the lands for, how many years are you taking our land, and the processes involved in terms of when the mine is over, how the land will revert back to the owner. So there's much of engagement to be done. Again, I went to the site where the drilling is happening, and I saw a company called Geodrill, and Geodrill is involved in mining for these mining companies. So it tells of the work that is going, and it erases partly the fears of illegal mining, because when geodrill is involved, then of course you expect that proper processes will be followed, but these are early days yet. So in the coming days we'll still be going there to check on what will be happening at the site.
Can't wait for your full report on what you found in the way. That's Joy Energy Desk head Samuel Kojo Brace there, taking us on a quick break here on the Midday News live on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra. In Kumasi, we're on Love 99.5 FM affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions. We're proudly sponsored by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity. Petrosol is always a delightful experience. Also brought to you by Duraplast Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC and HDP pipes and water tank. We are the only water storage tank with a level indicator, and where Duraplast goes, water flows. We've been focusing on that 10-year questionable contract by Finance Minister Ken Oforiatta, worth over $100 million annually for a job already being done expertly by the National Petroleum Authority. We've been hearing from experts who are calling on the special prosecutor to take up the matter. We return from the break with sports, and I'll take you in on the thrilling performances from Joe Mertel, Celestine Donko and others at the Joy FM Festival of 9 Lessons and Carols last night.
Joy has been my joy, and always whenever there's a program, the joy goes to the peak.
When budgets are tight and money difficult to come by, you want to be sure you get the best value for your money. These are not times to be spending money fixing expensive engine problems because of cheap fuel and lubricant. Drive to a Petrosol station today and buy your quality fuel and lubricant, and rest assured of fuel that lasts long and lubricants that prevent expensive engine problems. Hear the sound. Petrosol, clean fuel in full quantity.
It is your time to vote for your assembly members and unit committee members. So get involved in voting.
Citizens of Ghana, this is an urgent call from the National Commission for Civic Education, NCCE. District level election is here again. This year's election will take place on the 19th of December 2023. Every 4 years, Ghanaians are enjoined to elect citizens to serve as assembly and unit committee members to help facilitate the development of your community and the district. The time to exercise that civic duty is now. On Tuesday, December 19th, 2023, visit your voting center between 7 a.m. and 5 p.m. with your valid voter's ID card and cast your vote to elect your preferred candidate. Remember, democracy begins at the local governance level. Your vote counts. Vote for development change agents. Vote for Ghana. A message from the National Commission for Civic Education, NCCE.
Thanks for staying with us on the Midday News. Time for sports. Mubarak, what do we have?
Emefa, yes, and the draw for the last 16 pairings of this season's Champions League is done. Holders Manchester City, they face Copenhagen, while Arsenal are set to clash with Porto. Elsewhere, Real Madrid will take on RB Leipzig, Barcelona play Napoli, and Bayern will square off against Lazio. Now, the matches will be played in February 2024. And before I go, Senna Adbeko missed out on a world title after losing to David Morrell for the WBA super middleweight belt. He suffered a second round knockout, Emefa. Can you imagine?
Sorry about that. Well, thank you very much, Mubarak. I'm sure you're getting ready to vote tomorrow for your district assembly and unit committee members. I know you're ready, but the Electoral Commission also says no employer should hinder their staff from participating in that election tomorrow, emphasizing the importance of every citizen's right to vote. We can hear from Director of Electoral Services at the EC, Dr. Sribo Kweku, speaking on the probe last night.
I don't think that anybody will stop a voter from going to vote when it is time for national election.
But if we have to go to work, considering the work we do and all that.
You tell your employer that you are going to vote, no employer will stop you. Yes. Because that will be disenfranchising you. Nobody will do that.
Well, the enthusiasm is building in some regions towards the process tomorrow in the Kejebi Zango constituency in the Oti region. Peter Seno interacted with some voters.
I am going out with my old boy, that is my grandfather, to go out and vote massively for a change in my community.
I didn't tell me voting. Assembly members no boy.
Tuesday, are you interested in the assembly election?
Please, yes, because I'll be going there to vote for the assembly men or women just because of what they did for me. Especially, I'm a tea and jollof seller. Before I'll start, I requested a loan from them, and they said them themselves they don't give loan, but they'll help me to get the loan and start the business. And truly too, they helped me, and I got the loan and I started my business. So I appreciated that.
And my colleague in the Ashanti region, Anabuachi Dankwa Yadom, has also filed this report.
I think it's on the 19th of December. That's tomorrow. But then I'm not voting because I might not get time, but then if I get the time to, I will vote.
Because assemblyman,
I will not vote for any assemblyman. I don't see the use. When they get their motorbikes, it's the small girls who sit on it.
Now, in the northern region, correspondent Martina Bugri also spoke to some electorates.
This assembly election, though, has not been given that kind of recognition as compared to other elections because of the way and manner it is. If you so ask many people today, they don't even know that there will be something happening on Tuesday.
Well, my colleague Samuel Imbura is at the EC head office where press conference is currently underway. Imbura, what are we missing?
Emefa, so tomorrow, 66,000 individuals will be vying for the assembly and unit committee roles in the local level elections. And this is a breakdown. We have 18,755 assembly member candidates, 47,502 unit committee members or candidates, bringing the total to 66,257 candidates. The electoral contest covers 6,215 electoral areas spread across the 260 metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies. But in Kwanza North and South, will not have this exercise conducted because they had their elections conducted in 2021 and their tenure in office hasn't expired. That's the explanation the member has given. She has also pointed out that the security measures have been concluded with the Ghana Police Service, and over 116,000 officials from the EC have also been deployed. So in short, all is set for tomorrow's elections, and they are calling on everyone to come out and cast their ballot. And
that's my colleague Samuel Imbura reporting live from the Electoral Commission's head office. Now we take you to an extraordinary setting where, amidst the serene backdrop of a cemetery, educators at Tamfiano DA Basic School contend not only with each other's voice but also with the regular grazing of sheep that mingles with the noise of passing cars and motorcycles. The pupils struggle to carve out moments to focus and learn in class due to their deplorable pavilion structure. Through it all, Tamfiano DA Basic School remains a beacon of hope, a symbol of unwavering community spirit. Sairam Abla D'Souza has this week's episode of Ghana Schools of Shame and is sandwiched between a cemetery and a ship pen.
Nestled in the heart of Tamfiano, a serene village in the Nkranza North District of the Bono East region, is the Tamfiano DA Basic School, a school with a unique set of challenges. It is the first school I have seen that serves as a burial ground and a sheep's pen. Yes, a cemetery and ship pen sandwiched school, or describe it as between the final resting place of the departed and the bustling activity of a sheep pen.
esan say ye school mu hai enye ade papa say ye betina masua ade nti ye sua ade kra na ye ho tete.
We feel uncomfortable when learning. The bleating from goats, conversations from passers-by, and moving cars distract our lessons. We can barely hear our teachers when they teach.
That's the situation in Tamfiano DA Basic School. That report, that's our Schools of Shame, and it's live on our social media platforms as well. And just before we go, last night it was the Joy FM's Festival of 9 Lessons and Carols. Joe Metal, Celestine Donko Perez Music, and Neo Kai amongst others, treated us to a lot of exciting moments. James Aveji has more.
As a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government will be upon his shoulder.
For the umpteenth time, the Joy brands, led by your superstation Joy 99.7 FM, brought staff, corporate Ghana, and its discerning audience together to mark Christmas at the Labadi Beach Hotel. The night was set to a good start with a melodious performance by the Grace Chorale International, bringing many to the dance floor, including Nana Udiasa, the first, Lexis Bill. Media personality Nanaba Namwa kick-started the lessons with the first scripture.
Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree of which I commanded you that you should not eat?
In his exaltation, Bishop Clyde Maud from the Action Chapel urged the Joy brand to maintain the high level of standard in its delivery.
Because you are fearless and you are fearless and you are what? There's something. You are credible. The fearlessness and the credibility did not come because you chose to do it. It came because God gave you the power to do it.
And that's how we wrap up today's edition of the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. I've been telling you about what you're missing in Parliament. We'll leave you with the words between Ghana's number 1 president and number 3 Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbing, on the role of each other.
Speaker Babin says I'm a lame duck. Well, Speaker Babin says I'm a lame duck. Well, that's his language. Speaker Babin says I'm a lame. Speaker Babin says I'm a lame duck. Well, that's his language. That's his language. I am still the President of the Republic, and I will continue to be so until the 7th of January 2025. And I have no doubt that the power to make decisions and to carry our policies is still firmly in my hands. And